you know, you guys are familiar with our alignment class, so I have to explain anything to you. Just make sure you have your block and have a strap nearby. And then we're going to start in Sukhasana, easy pose with the legs crossed. Have your palms facing up on top of your legs. Get tall in the spine, inner edges of the shoulder blades drawn towards each other and down the back. I always really like to start this class off, especially with a longer breath practice or pranayama, some breath control. So let's start by just taking some regular passive breaths, and you can do that with your eyes open or closed, however you're comfortable. Being sure to expand the belly and the chest, both parts of the body active on the inhale and the exhale. And then we're just going to begin to count our inhalations and our exhalations. So we know that the nervous system is in resting pose or is in a balanced state when our exhalations are longer than the inhalations. So if you're ever thinking, I think I'm panicking right now, or I think I might have a little anxiety, if your inhalations are deeper or longer than the exhale, then yes, your nervous system needs to switch it up. So you can do this breath, it's very helpful. So we're gonna inhale for 5 seconds, and then exhale for 5 seconds. And then each time we do an inhale for 5, our exhale will get longer by 1 second. So we'll move on to 6 seconds, then 7 seconds. So let's go ahead, just take one more regular breath. And then inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Inhale, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Inhale for 5 and then exhale wherever your exhalation was comfortable. Counting in your head. Even if it goes to 8 or 9. Do 2 more rounds. And then go back to a regular passive breath. One more. And then exhale, open the eyes. Inhale, bring the arms up. Grab the left wrist with the right hand. Exhale, lean to the right. We're going to focus on the feet today and the alignment and the pressure in the feet. A couple breaths here. Inhale, come back to center. Grab the right wrist. Exhale, lean to the left. So just kind of, you probably already know a lot about your feet, whether you have high arches, whether you're more flat-footed, if you have weak ankles, where you put the pressure on your feet, the inside or the outside. Inhale back to center. Bring the arms down. And I'm just going to kind of cue you. We'll focus on the feet as far as stretching, but then also where we're putting the pressure to align our posture. We're going to do a twist here, but it's like a side straddle twist. So left foot is going to be behind us, and then the right heel will come towards the inner thigh. Right fingertips behind us. Inhale, lengthen. And then exhale, bring the left hip forward to come into a twist, and your left hand will be on the outside of the right knee. You can be looking straight ahead, keeping the chin over the heart, or you can look over the right shoulder. Find your breath, slow, steady rhythm. One more. Exhale, come back to center. We're gonna do the same thing on the other side, but first, Baddha Konasana. Bring the soles of the feet together. Gosh, I feel like I should have, with all of our talk with the hands, should have had a class about hands. Maybe we'll do that next time. We'll do that. Inhale, lengthen through the crown of the head. We are gonna keep the spine straight here. So exhale and just come forward, keeping the shoulder blades drawn towards each other, grabbing onto the ankles. Take a breath, and then maybe exhale, soften a little deeper in the pose, or stay exactly where you are. Shoulders are away from the ears. Inhale, come all the way up. Bring the knees back together. Exhale, come into our twist for the other side. So right foot behind you, left heel to the inner thigh, left fingertips behind you. Inhale, lengthen through the crown of the head. Exhale, soften, come into the twist. Right hand to the outside of the left knee. Pressing that right hip forward. Keep the collarbones spread and lifted. And each time you exhale, soften more and more into these postures as we just warm up the body. Just slight movements. Easing into them. Next exhalation, come back to center. Bring the legs out in front of you. We're gonna come into Janu Shirshasana. So bend the right knee. Bring it out to the side. Inhale, lengthen. And then exhale, come forward. So use the strap here if you feel the back start to round. And I'm just gonna go ahead and do that. So why alignment classes? Why alignment yoga? You know, there are some schools of alignment yoga that are kind of rigid in the thinking, where you force your body into a posture no matter what. You just stack the bones and you get there, and it should look the same on everybody. That's really not what we're going for here. Exhale, see if you can come down a little bit more. What we want to do is maximize the benefits of the yoga practice in each pose without injuring ourselves. So the reason I love this type of yoga so much is because it helped my back pain, and it does help injuries. Inhale, come all the way up. Exhale, release. Other side. So close the knee joint first and then drop it out to the side. So even when we do things like focus on the feet, I mean, the feet, just think about it. They've been with you your whole life. We don't pay a ton of attention to them. They carry our weight all day. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, come forward. And then, so the feet are like the windows to other parts of the body. The ankles, of course, the knees, the hips, which all affect our lower back. So the feet are pretty darn important. Exhale, soften. Keep the chest lifted, shoulders back. We're going to take one more good breath here. And then inhale, come all the way up. Put your strap to the side. We're going to come into Thunderbolt pose, or Vajrasana. So it's just coming to your knees. Okay, I'm going to turn sideways. But first we're going to go on the toes. I know we've done this before, but just notice how this feels. For some people it's too painful to even put any weight on there. If you have to be like this to begin, then that's fine. But I want you to kind of pay attention to every toe as we're sitting like this. So put as much pressure as you can on the big toe, and then the second toe, the third toe, so on and so forth. So you might have to roll the tops of the feet a little bit. We're gonna stay in this posture for 3 breaths and just kind of pay attention to what's going on in the feet. Is there any room for softening, or are you really tense right now? Go ahead and exhale and release the tops of the feet onto the mat. And then bring the hands behind you. We're gonna check out the ankles now. Do a little observation of every part of the lower body. So bring the hands behind you to support you. And we're just gonna lift the knees. Lift the knees until you feel a stretch in the front of the ankle area, the top of the foot. See if you can take a couple of breaths here. And then go ahead and lower. Come all the way to hands and knees. And let's do big circles here with the hips. You can tap the tops of the feet onto the mat. Feels good. All right, so bring the hands a little bit further forward so we're not going shoulder over wrist. And then hit the front of your mat, side, back, side. Take your time doing this. 3 big circles clockwise. And then go in the opposite direction. So counterclockwise. Stay with the breath. And when you're done, you're gonna go ahead and come back to hands and knees, and we're gonna come into our first downward facing dog. So once you're at tabletop, separate the knees a little bit. Your hands might be okay where they are since they were a little bit forward. Go ahead and curl the toes under, and then we're gonna bring the hip sockets up and back. I kind of would like if you could just stay on your toes for a minute and just continue to, alternate bringing your heel to the mat and bending your knee, but also stay with that stretch in the toes. Just kind of pay extra attention to the feet. Still pressing the roots of the fingers into the mat, still lengthening through the tailbone, just kind of alternating all of those movements. You can even move the hips around a little bit. And then let's get ready to come into a lunge here. So bring the right leg up, bend the knee, get it to the front of the mat. So drag it, skip it, hop it, throw it, however you gotta do it. Keep the back toes curled under. We're gonna press the front foot into the mat. And then inhale, bring the arms up. We're keeping the arms up here, biceps to ears, and then softening forward. So coming into this Anjaneyasana. And as we breathe here, so you can look up if you want, continue to soften the hips forward, lifting the chest. Pay attention to what your front foot is doing. Where is the weight? Is it evenly distributed? Are you rolling on the outside of your foot? Just notice that. One more breath here. As you exhale, bring the left hand down to the mat, coming into a twist. Right fingertips up. If you need to widen the stance or move your foot out a little bit in order to keep all 4 corners on the mat, you go ahead and do that. Take one more breath here. Keep the right shoulder back. Try to stack the shoulders as much as possible. And then go ahead and bring the right hand down. we're gonna bring the back knee up and return to downward facing dog. And then other side, left leg up. Bend the knee, bring the left leg forward. And then press the front foot into the mat. Inhale, bring the arms all the way up, keeping them up. Exhale, soften the hips forward. We can even make this, a little bit of a back bend here. So as you bring the lower belly in and up, activating that bandha, you can come into a back bend here, reaching back. And as you reach back, bring your awareness to your front foot. Notice any differences from this foot to the other. 2 more breaths. Continue to soften forward. And then exhale, bring the right hand to the inside of the foot. Left fingertips up towards the ceiling. Find your breath here. So when I do this without moving my foot, all of my weight is on the outside edge of my front foot. So I'm just gonna move it over a little bit so I can just connect all parts of the foot into the ground. Take another breath. Next exhalation, bring this left hand down. Lift the back knee. And then go ahead and come up into downward facing dog. Walk that out a little bit. And then we're gonna actually walk the hands towards the feet here. So walk the hands towards the feet, separate the feet a little bit. And as we're staying hung over here, that sounds awful. As we stay in our forward fold, slightly bend the knees. And then you can have your fingertips here, or you can grab the elbows and hang, but I also want you to notice the feet again. And then shift your weight a little bit towards the front of the feet, towards the back and the heels. And then even the outsides of the feet and the insides of the feet. Just wake up all parts. Drop the head completely. Let the head just hang for a moment. And then bring the fingertips back to the mat if they're not already. Bring the hands to the shins. Long spine. Extend through the crown of the head. Take a breath here. Hands to the thighs. Elbows back. Long spine. Lift the sitting bones. And then come up to Tadasana. So don't roll the spine here. Actually use this as a, strengthening the back. All the way up. And then come to the top of your mat for Tadasana. I'm gonna actually move to the other side. We're gonna spend a moment in Tadasana, of course. And I want you to grab your block. We're gonna place the block in between the thighs. So the feet are going to be separated about hip width apart here. Oh wow, it doesn't even look like I have a block between my legs right now. It's like matching with the back color of my wall. All right, sorry, squirrel. This is why I do yoga. Okay, so again, roll forward on the toes, back on the heels. Just get your balance, get connected to the ground. And I'm just going to point out to you, because there's a reason we press into the ball mound of the big toe, ball mound of the pinky toe. There's a reason we press here, and that is because a lot of the times when we are, standing like this, we're kind of like hanging out on the ligaments. We're messing up tendons, things like that in the hip joints. When we press on the ball mound of the big toes, we're actually grounding the femur heads back into the hip sockets. And that's the stability that we're looking for, stability in the hips that way. At least that's what I was taught, and that's what worked for me as far as my back pain. I had to learn how to walk again and walk, you know, making sure I was putting that pressure evenly on the feet. It also helps lift the arches. So if you're pressing the ball end of the big toes, you will feel the arches lift, especially if you're, you know, like let your feet go for a moment and see what happens. You'll feel the softness, you'll feel the ankles collapse. Now press the ball mounds. It might lift the toes, but you'll also feel the arches lift and the ankles stabilize. Now bring it up to the knees, engage the quadriceps, squeeze that block. Lengthen, lift the pelvic floor, lower belly in and up. Spread the chest and the collarbones. Bring the arms down to the sides of the body. Chin is parallel to the floor. Take a few breaths here, pressing the feet and squeezing the block. And notice where your body's compensating. Do you have more weight on the left leg? Or maybe, you know, just the whole left side of the body, or vice versa. Just find that awareness right now. We're not going to find that awareness without stillness. And that leads to big discoveries of our bodies. Another breath or two here. If the eyes are closed, go ahead and blink them open. Take the block. Keep the block in your hand. See if you can, revisit where we just were with engaging the legs with that block, without the block there. There's your Tadasana legs. Cool, huh? All right, place your block on the upper right part of the mat. We're gonna use that in a minute. Separate the feet. And then bring the toes to the right. So it's hard for me to see where you guys are, but this could be the back of the mat or the front of the mat. It's on the right foot though. We're gonna start with Parshva-Konasana. So grab the elbows behind your back, or you can do prayer hands, either one. So start with the hands here, and then kind of scoot them up there. So the left toes will be pointing up towards the left side of the mat. Right toes are going to be pointing straight forward. Check your knee. Be sure your knee is over your second and third toe. And if it's not, engage the quadricep and make that happen. Inhale, lengthen, lift the chest. Exhale, send your hip sockets straight back. Don't let the left hip come up. If your block is there, you can bring your hands down to the block and kind of shimmy your pelvis to be sure it's straight. You're deepening the right hip crease and keeping the left hip down. If you feel like you can go all the way down here, you can go ahead and bring your fingertips down. We work on exhaling, creating space, softening. Good. Another breath or two here. Drop the head. Shift your weight to the back foot so it's not all in the front body or in the front leg. Engage the lower belly in and up. See if you can extend a little bit more through the crown of the head, and then see if you can fold a little bit more. To come out of this today, we're going to slightly bend the front knee, return to the block, and then put the hands on the hips and come all the way up. Good. Pick up the block. We're going to bring the back leg back towards the mat a little bit so we can prepare for Trikonasana or triangle pose. So you're going to have to angle this back foot about 45 degrees. Keep your left hand on your hip or your pelvic rim for now. And again, take a look at the knee. The knee and the foot have so much to do with each other. Even if you have pants on, you can kind of see what direction your knee is going. If it's caving in right now, which happens with a lot of people, just slightly bend the knee, engage those quadriceps, and then straighten the leg. Good. Eventually you'll be brushing your teeth and being like, oh, God, let me press the ball mounds of my big toes. Pumping gas, brushing my teeth, I do it everywhere. Tadasana everywhere. All right, here we go. We're gonna use the block and actually lengthen with the block in our arm this time. Deepen the right hip crease, extend as far as you can, and then bring that block down. If you have a bend in your elbow, lower the block until you have a nice straight arm, and then rotate the shoulders open. And you can stay here with your hand on the hip, or you can bring the left fingertips up. Find your breath here. Press the back foot. And at the same time, you're kind of squeezing the thighs in towards the midline of the body, towards each other. And you're pressing the feet into the mat like you're pressing them away from each other. So lots of stuff going on in the legs. Soften the top ribs. Take one more breath here. Press the feet away from each other one more time. Pop yourself up. Bring the toes in. Bring the block with you to the other side. So left toes out. And actually, even the way that we pivot in between these postures is kind of important. So there's going to be times where we are, instead of just kind of snagging our feet and tweaking the knee, we want to either pivot on the heel, so it's turning from the hip joint, or we pivot on the ball mount of the foot and bring the heel in. So just kind of pay attention to those small things. So I'm going to move my foot back here. I'm going to pivot on the ball of the foot and bring my heel back, my toes forward. And then adjust for your Parsvottanasana. Either grab the elbows behind the back or prayer hands behind the back. Right now I have this super big curved lordosis in the lower spine. I don't want that. So I need to engage the lower belly in and up to help that. Inhale, lengthen through the crown of the head, lift the chest. Legs are active. Exhale, fold forward. Do it slowly so you can deepen that left hip crease and keep the right hip down. You'll have to adjust the pelvis. If your hamstrings are tight, it's going to be a slow process, but it'll be good. You can bring your hands down to the block when you're ready. Because we're not, the goal here today is not to get down here. It's to keep as much length in the spine as possible. And then with each inhale, we re-engage the belly. We lengthen through the crown of the head. And then that will create space so we can exhale and fold safely. Maybe lower the block. Drop the head. Notice where the weight is in your feet. Are you heavy in the front? Try to even it out. Maybe you can fold a little bit more or stay right where you are. And we're going to come up here. So slightly bend the knee. Inhale, bring your hands to the waist. Come all the way up. Good. Exhale, bring the toes in. My block's in the way. Ooh. Good. Pick up your block, get ready for Trikonasana on the other side. So, yeah, try holding your arm out with a block for 5 minutes. That's good, right? Do that in our Monday night strength and mobility class. Who needs weights? All right, go ahead and start to lengthen and deepen. Deepen that left hip crease, lengthen the arm, the torso, and then bring it to the outside of the left foot. Rotate the shoulders open, right fingertips up. And then adjust, always adjusting in the poses. They seem static, but they're actually pretty dynamic because you're constantly knowing where are your feet. Are we pressing the feet away from each other? Are we rotating the thighs out and pressing the inner thighs towards each other? Soften the top ribs. Keep the neck long. We'll take 2 more breaths here. And then exhale, look down at your foot. Press the feet away from each other and pop up. Good. Everyone doing okay? Yeah. Tadasana. Let's do a little movement here. So shake the legs out. Inhale, bring the arms up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, look up. Exhale, step back and come down to chaturanga. So elbows point straight behind you. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Let's take 5 breaths here. You can also choose child's pose, by the way. One more. Inhale, look up. Get to the front of your mat. Exhale, fold. Inhale, arms all the way up. Exhale, hands in front of the heart. Let's bring the right leg back, coming into warrior 1. So hips are facing the front of the mat. Go ahead and bend the front knee. So pressing the outer edge of the back foot, the inner edge of the front foot. Get this coccyx or tailbone. Go ahead and drop the tailbone, lower belly in and up. And then arms out to the sides. Extend them on either side of the body. Chest is lifted. Bring the pinkies together. So start to bring the arms together. Bring the pinkies until they're touching. And then bring the thumbs together to touch. So we have our Lotus Mudra. Bring the arms up, looking up at your thumbs. Filling your cup, however it needs to be filled from whatever source. Take a few breaths here. Go ahead and take 1 more breath here. Bring the arms down, Lotus Mudra to your heart, and then go ahead and just come back to Tadasana, arms down. We're gonna do the same thing on the other side, so left leg back. Find your feet, lower belly in and up, bend the knee. Knee is directly over the ankle. Arms extended out to either side of the body. Bring the pinkies together. Bring the thumbs together. And then raise your lotus flower. Press the outer edge of the back foot. Keep the legs active. Know what your feet are doing right now. Find your breath. One more. bring the hands in front of the heart and go ahead and step back to Tadasana and release your pose. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, look up. Exhale, step back, lower to chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. 5 breaths. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale, look up. Get to the front of your mat. Exhale, fold. Inhale, arms all the way up. Exhale, hands in front of the heart. Back to Tadasana. Bring your palms up, facing up towards the ceiling. Keep the Tadasana legs nice and strong. And then we're gonna bring the arms all the way up without moving the shoulders. So shoulders are retracted back in the sockets. Kind of pay attention to what's going on in the shoulders as you bring the arms up as far as they'll go. Use your breath to help release any tension in the shoulders to see if you can just move slowly. My shoulders are tight, so they're not going up as quickly today. From here, we're going to come into chair pose, and we're going to turn our chair pose into a warrior 3. So next exhalation, keep the arms up, and then start to sit back, weight in the back of the body. Notice where your feet are pressing into the mat. Be sure that you're pressing the ball mounds of the big toes and all the weight is not on the outside of the foot. The toes can be lifted. And then from here, we're just going to start to raise the right foot and bring it behind us, tipping forward. You can come out of this at any time. When you're ready, bend the knees, come back to chair pose. And then same thing on the other side. Moving slowly, feeling the ankles wobble, doing their job. Good. And hold on to something if you need to. Excellent. Yep, the mat will catch you and go right back into it. Excellent. When you're ready, come back to your chair pose and then stand in Tadasana. Ooh, that was a good one. Nice job, ladies. Inhale, bring the arms up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, look up. Exhale, step back. Lower yourself all the way down to the mat. Uncurl the toes, push yourself back to child's pose. First with the knees open. Take a few breaths here. If your arms are tired, you can reach for the bottoms of your feet and rest the arms. Take one more breath here and then start to raise the torso. We're going to actually bring the knees together and we're going to do sort of like a thread the needle here with our knees together in a a variation of child's pose. So just take your left hand and place it under your right arm. You don't have to go all the way down to the mat, but just kind of rest forward. And actually, if you have your block nearby, you can rest your head on that. One more breath here, and then we're going to come back to up to do the other side. So exhale, bring yourself up. Slide the right arm underneath the left. Bring the left arm extended out in front of you. Rest your head on a block if you can. Take 2 more breaths here. Exhale, come back up. Move your block to the side. We are going to use it again. We're going to cross at the ankles and have a seat. Lie down on your back. That's always my favorite part of a yoga class when the teacher was like, all right, lie down. Even if it wasn't Shavasana time yet, I was like, yes. All right, we're gonna use the block between the knees as we do our bridge pose. So again, our focus is the feet. So we wanna be sure that our heels, you know, that the foundation is where they're supposed to be. And once we do lift and press, that we're pressing and connecting all parts of the feet, especially the ball mounds of the big toes and the whole inner edge and the heels. All right, so get the shoulder blades flat. Take a nice deep breath. And then lift. Squeeze the block between the knees. You can interlace the hands, the fingers underneath the body. See how this pose is different for you when you're having to keep your knees towards each other with the block. Press the feet. Once you do press into the heels, you might lift a little higher. You can watch the belly rise up and down as you breathe. We're going to take 2 more breaths here. Press a little higher. And lower. Remove the block. Take a breath. And prepare to go up again. So heels towards the sitting bones. Shoulder blades are flat. Go ahead and lift. Awareness in the feet. Interlace the fingers. Maybe you don't have to, but if that helps you walk the shoulders together. Press a little higher, press into the heels, see if that helps. One more breath, as if the block were still there. And then go ahead and lower. Unwind the spine. Ooh, and then you can go ahead and hug the knees. Bring the knees up to the chest. Rock a little bit left to right. We are going to do our Supta Padangusthasana. So if you have your strap nearby, we'll go ahead and grab that one last time. Wrap it around the ball of the right foot. And then straighten the left leg. Left hand is on top of the left thigh. Keep that left leg active. Bring the right leg up the center line. And then your right arm grabbing the strap is going to be straight. So grab as high up on the strap as you can. Find your breath. Exhale, start to bring that leg out to the right, keeping the left hip down. Nice and slow. Feeling the ball and socket in the right hip rotate open. Use the inner thigh muscles to bring the leg back to center. And then switch hands. Grab the straps with the left hand, right arm out to the side. Go ahead and cross over that center line. Also check to be sure that your left leg is still active. Tadasana leg, right? Squeezing that block, pressing through the ball mound of the big toe, even when we're lying on our back. Come back to center. Grab a strap in both hands, or grab one strap in each hand. Take a deep breath in, and then as you exhale, chin to shin. Lift the upper body towards the leg. 1, 2, elbows left and right. 3, 4, 5. Go ahead and lower. Float that leg down, and get ready for the other side. So right up the center line. Pressing out through the ball mound of the right foot. So that's how you get the floint, the thing between the flex of the foot and the pointing of the toes. It's a floint. You're like pressing the ball mound. Yes, exactly. The Barbie foot. Like it would be impossible to stand on. All right. Take another breath here. And then start to open up as you exhale. Open up the left leg to the left. Keep that right hip down on the ground. And you're pointing through that left ball mound as well to keep that leg active. It's in the air, so it really doesn't have a choice for most of the muscles to be active, but you want to keep the hip socket stable, right? Go ahead and start to bring it back to center. And then cross over. Grab the straps in your right hand. Be sure the right leg is still active. Toe is pointing up. Back to center. Grab a strap in each hand. And as you lift, lift the chest at the same time, and the elbows will go left to right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Excellent. Shoulders and head back down to the mat, and then release the leg. Let's do one more twist, and then we'll do a happy baby and a stretch and call it a night. All right, so hug the right knee. Just grab the right knee, straighten the left leg, and you're just gonna bring that right knee over the left leg. Just roll it over. Bring your right arm out to the side, look over the right fingertips, and just keep pressure on that top knee. If it feels good. If it feels better to stretch your arms, you can do either. Soften the midsection, so your torso is starting to soften, your abdominal muscles are softening. Wringing out your insides like a sponge. Come back to center. Bring the knee, or straighten the leg, bring the foot down, straighten the leg. Hug the left knee. Bring it up as high as you can, and then cross it over to the right side of the mat. Extend the left arm. Look over the left fingertips, if that's okay for your neck. Your feet are not doing much here, but letting go. And also kind of for this one, bring your awareness to your lower back muscles and see that you're allowing them to release and soften. So doing things like this too, I know it's not, flu season. I mean, there is a virus going around, but the lymphatic system really gets a benefit from this. That liquid that it carries throughout the whole body, this is just kind of like helping it move. we go ahead and come back to center. So when you hear that twists are, detoxing the body, that's what it's doing. It's moving things around. Hug the knees, do your happy baby, grabbing the insides of the legs, insides of the feet, and pressing the knees towards the mat, or just hug the knees is good too. And then once you're done rocking, you can bring your feet back down to the mat. Just give them a good smack down to the mat. That wasn't hard. Yeah, lift them back up and do it one more time. Just let them fall to the ground. It feels good. It just kind of shakes things up. All right, take a long stretch and get ready for your Shavasana. So once you have everything you need for your relaxation, you'll go ahead and lie down on your back. Separate the ankles. Be sure that you have that lower curve, or that curve in your lower back, that it's not flat. Flat shoulder blades, palms facing the ceiling. And this is your safe space and your opportunity to let go. Anything you've been carrying throughout the day, things that you just don't need, that dis-ease stays in the body with us, and we want to let go of those things to the best of our ability. And sometimes it takes 100 times or more, but as long as we're willing. As you begin to relax the muscles in the face, notice how that softening allows your arms to get heavy, as if they're melting right into the ground. And the same with the spine and the muscles around the spine.